You look at the plate. Snails. Would you dare to eat them? In France, they are the ultimate culinary triumph. You sit in a hidden restaurant deep in Burgundy. They sizzle in melted garlic and golden parsley butter. To the French, these are undeniable delicacies. But bring that same plate home, serve it to your British wife. Watch her face. The reaction shifts instantly. The romantic appetite dies. It turns to absolute horror. She screams. The disgust is visceral. Or imagine you're having a secret affair with me. A true American. You pay a premium price. You tip generously. You present this exotic luxury to impress me. Yet I struggle to swallow it. Across the entire English-speaking world, we do not see a meal, we see vermin. We place this creature in a dark mental cage, trapped alongside scuttling cockroaches and plague-carrying rats. So, I must ask you why? Why does modern Western civilization violently reject a biologically superior protein? A creature that could literally save our dying environment. The reason why is not what you think. The answer has absolutely nothing to do with culinary flavor. It has nothing to do with nutritional value or local availability. The truth is buried deep within 170,000 years of forgotten history. It is a psychological brainwash, a mechanism so ancient that you're blindly running it right now. The disgust kills the logic. It is inherited training. Close your eyes, travel backward. We are returning to the origin of our bloodline. You are standing in the shadows of Border Cave, hidden within the rugged mountains of South Africa. The air is thick. The year is 170,000 BCE. You are looking at the earliest anatomically modern humans, our fragile ancestors. They do not have agriculture. They do not have specialized weapons. They are surviving purely on sharpened sticks and raw intellect. In this brutal era, hunting a massive beast is a lethal gamble. A single strike from a wild animal could end your bloodline permanently. The energy expenditure is terrifying. The failure rate means starvation. But then the rains fall, you walk into the damp brush, you look down. The earth provides an absolute miracle of survival technology. Giant land snails. These colossal creatures, as large as a man's hand, offer a flawless caloric return. The hunting risk is zero. The energy cost is invisible. For early Homo sapiens, this was not a desperate fallback option during famines. It was the primary strategy. A dominant source of pure protein that fueled the expansion of our species. They roasted these gastropods over glowing embers, leaving behind a profound archaeological signature. But this was not an isolated incident. Move forward in time. Travel to the windswept plains of North Africa. Here, the enigmatic Capsian culture elevated this practice into an industrial empire. They did not just gather these invertebrates, they harvested them with relentless, systematic precision. They built escargotières, massive geological monuments composed entirely of discarded shells. Imagine staring at a mountain of bone-white fragments. It stretches over 100 meters wide. It is literally the size of a modern American football field. Every single fragment represents a meal. Every single layer represents a generation. This was a continuous, unbroken food system that operated for 4,000 years. 4 millennia of sustained harvesting. And they did it without causing the cascading environmental damage that defines our modern era. They understood the perfect food provided directly by nature itself. We completely forgot how to survive. The Roman Republic did not view this creature as a primitive survival tool. They saw massive economic dominance. They transformed it into a highly profitable agricultural empire. Enter Fulvius Lepinus. He was a visionary entrepreneur. He invented the cochlearia. These were specialized enclosures dedicated entirely to early heliciculture. He did not just gather snails, he industrialized them. Lepinus treated his stock like premium livestock. He separated them by geographic origin. He fed them a meticulously controlled diet of wine must, the rich, unfermented juice of freshly crushed grapes. He selectively bred them for maximum size. The results were staggering. Through these aggressive breeding programs, the Roman Republic produced giants. Their shells grew so massive they could hold a volume equivalent to 6 modern wine bottles. That is not a myth. That is the historical record. These creatures were not reserved for the elite dining in a fancy restaurant. They were not rare delicacies hidden behind exorbitant prices. They were the everyday fuel of an empire. You can walk through the ash-frozen ruins of Pompeii today and see the absolute truth. Archaeologists uncovered massive deposits of consumed gastropods in ordinary household kitchens. This was daily food. It was a flawless business model. The ancient feed conversion ratio was wildly efficient, turning agricultural waste into pure profit. For centuries, this Mediterranean industry thrived. And then the civilization collapsed. The empire shattered. The agricultural knowledge dissolved. And human food history took a dark, irreversible turn. The fall of Rome was a total rupture. The vast trade networks dissolved. The agricultural knowledge vanished. And here's where the story takes a turn that still dictates your grocery shopping today. Enter the medieval church. As it became the dominant institutional force across Europe, it created a massive system of dietary control. Meat from warm-blooded animals was strictly prohibited during Lent and countless fasting days. For nearly a third of the entire calendar, conventional meat was illegal to consume. But these invertebrates occupied a strange theological gray zone. In certain dioceses, particularly across France, church authorities classified them alongside fish. Because they were cold-blooded, they were perfectly legal to eat during the holy fasts. When you cannot touch beef or pork for weeks, and the local priest tells you the creature in your garden is blessed, you eat it. The monasteries of Burgundy actively reinforced this practice. Your ancestors cooked them in garlic and parsley butter. Your mother taught you. Over centuries, it calcified into an unbreakable cultural identity. But step into Northern Europe, and the reality completely fractures. In these colder regions, the medieval church offered no such ecclesiastical protection. They fell into a dark regulatory vacuum. They drifted from the mental category of food directly into the category of pest. Within a few generations, the exact same animal that had sustained human populations for millennia was reclassified as vermin. They became the slimy creatures that devoured your cabbages. The fatal divide was permanently constructed. Why does your brain violently reject them? Enter Paul Rosen, a researcher who spent decades decoding the dark psychology of our food taboos. He discovered something deeply terrifying about your own mind. The disgust response operates completely independent of actual flavor, nutritional reality, or logical survival. Your rejection is not based on physical experience. You have likely never even tasted them. Your rejection is purely based on a false category. They are slimy. They live in the dirt. These visual triggers instantly build an impenetrable cognitive wall. You do not evaluate the vitamins. You do not consider the iron. The disgust response terminates your logic before conscious thought even engages. Paul Rosen proved that this aversion is installed extremely early in childhood. It is transmitted entirely through cultural modeling. You watch your parents recoil in pure horror, and your brain silently downloads the code. It feels like a natural instinct, but it is not instinct. It is a fabricated illusion. You have been programmed, and across the English-speaking world, this rigid programming is so deep that it resists every single rational override. You are trapped in an ancient hallucination. Step outside your isolated cultural bubble. The illusion instantly shatters. The narrative that this diet is merely a bizarre eccentricity of France is spectacularly wrong. Even France harbors a dark commercial secret. They cannot even satisfy their own ravenous national appetite. They are actually forced to import 80% of their supply from the wild habitats of Eastern Europe. Now look across the globe, travel to West Africa. In Nigeria and Ghana, citizens consume 30,000 metric tons of massive land snails every single year. They do not view this creature with horror. There is no hesitation. It is a daily essential food, a vital anchor for their families. Walk through the vibrant, chaotic Medinas of Morocco. Steam rises from enormous brass pots into the cool night air. Street vendors serve baboche, bowls of small shells simmered in an intoxicating ancient herbal broth. It is universally loved. Look at Spain. Tens of thousands of people gather for the massive caracoles festivals. They consume literal tons of them in a single weekend at bustling tapas bars. Move further into Southeast Asia. From the intensely spicy luo-siphon noodle soups of China to the fragrant lemongrass-steamed street stalls of Vietnam and Indonesia, the global pattern is absolute. The world never stopped eating them. The rest of the planet does not share your inherited food taboos. They never locked this invertebrate away in a mental cage alongside cockroaches and rats. They simply see what it truly is. Now, look at the brutal reality of our modern survival. To produce a single kilogram of beef, we brutally extract 15,000 liters of water. That is enough to fill 100 standard bathtubs. We clear-cut massive forests. We inject millions of animals with dangerous antibiotics. We allow immense cattle populations to generate staggering levels of methane, violently accelerating our global climate collapse. The environmental damage is a catastrophic invoice that our civilization simply cannot pay. Now look at the alternative. This humble gastropod operates with an almost supernatural biological efficiency. Their feed conversion ratio is extraordinary. They only require less than 2 kilograms of worthless agricultural waste to produce 1 kilogram of dense, high-quality body mass. They demand almost zero fresh water. They emit absolutely zero methane. They do not require vast tracts of destroyed land. A small, hyper-efficient heliciculture operation can generate 250 times more output per acre than a massive, destructive cattle ranch. And the nutritional profile is a biological miracle. It is packed with all 9 essential amino acids. The omega-3 to omega-6 ratio perfectly neutralizes modern inflammation. It delivers massive doses of bioavailable heme iron, directly combating global anemia. This is the ultimate sustainable protein. It is a biological machine perfectly designed to save us. Yet it sits silently on the wrong mental shelf, ignored by a civilization speeding toward the edge of an agricultural cliff. By the year 2050, nearly 10 billion humans will crowd this exhausted planet. Conventional livestock farming will simply collapse under its own massive weight. We cannot feed that exploding population with cattle and pigs. The fresh water will run dry. The agricultural land will burn. Right now, billions of dollars are being poured into artificial lab-grown meats and massive insect farms. Investors are desperately searching for a futuristic miracle. Yet, they are completely ignoring a biological machine that already exists. Unlike insects, this ancient invertebrate does not trigger universal rejection. It already holds a highly prestigious position in luxury dining. The cultural bridge is already built. Unlike laboratory bioreactors, it requires no billion-dollar technology. It only requires a quiet, damp patch of earth and discarded leaves. The only obstacle left is you, your perception. We must break a psychological chain forged 1,000 years ago. We must look at this tiny, spiraled creature not as a garden pest, but as the ultimate salvation our distant ancestors already understood. It is nature's perfect engine, transforming worthless organic waste into premium nourishment. If this deep dive forced you to rethink everything you put on your plate, hit subscribe now. The algorithm rewards curiosity, and we decode the hidden forces shaping your reality every single week. So I leave you with one final question. When the global food system finally shatters, will you cling to a medieval prejudice and starve? Or will you remember how to survive?